Welcome back! If you're the kind of person who loves cutting through the noise to figure out what is actually happening in the tech world, you are in the perfect place. Today's explainer is an absolutely fascinating one. You know, if you just casually scroll through today's tech news, it kind of looks like a bunch of random, disconnected product launches. But if you step back and connect the dots, they reveal this massive, hidden macro narrative. We are literally witnessing the autonomous escalation of artificial intelligence right now in real time. And I'm not just talking about big tech moving billions of dollars around in the cloud. This is about the software sitting right there in your pocket and how it is fundamentally changing the way it interacts with the real world. I want to kick things off right away with a quote from today's source material because it really hits the nail on the head. Read this with me. AI is no longer a tool humans operate, but an actor operating on its own in consequential environments. That right there is the core thesis of this entire explainer. The stakes here are just incredibly high. We're moving away from AI being this passive software that just patiently waits for you to type a prompt. It is becoming an independent actor making its own moves. Notice that phrase, consequential environments. That means the training wheels are coming off. Okay, so let's dive into this. We are going to map out this escalation across 5 distinct areas today. 1. The autonomous AI shift. 2. Agents in the real world. 3. The massive infrastructure engine. 4. Breaking points and friction. And finally, number 5, trust, rules, and governance.
All right, section 1, the autonomous AI shift, a completely new era of AI.
To really grasp this shift, we need to define what this new era looks like, right at our fingertips. Remember when AI was basically just a traditional standalone chatbot on a web page? Well, those days are fading fast. We're now entering the era of things like Agent OS. And honestly, one of the most striking examples is OpenAI integrating ChatGPT directly into Apple's macOS. Once you grant it permissions, this AI runs locally to read, draft, search, and even send your texts. So why is this such a game changer? Because it happens without a separate index. It doesn't have to ping some distant server to figure out your context. It lives right there on your device, deeply woven into your personal communication layer, taking actions on your behalf. And you know, this autonomy is bleeding directly into the workplace too. Take this startup named Twin1, which just launched with $20 million in funding. They are specifically targeting legal and professional services. But here's the crazy part. They aren't building spell checkers. They are building digital twins of knowledge workers. These AI replicas actually carry out tasks based on an individual employee's specific knowledge, their personal judgment, and their workplace context. Which means, yes, your digital twin might finally be the one tackling that overflowing inbox for you. AI is becoming this independent actor sitting right next to you in the digital office.
Moving on to Section 2, Agents in the Real World, High-Stakes Autonomy.
Because let's be real, it is one thing to have an AI draft a text for you. But what happens when these autonomous systems get released into live, high-stakes environments? Well, take a look at the scale of this event. The Israeli cybersecurity firm Dream recently caught a 4-day autonomous intrusion into Taiwan's government networks. And how was it pulled off? Entirely by 8 autonomous AI agents working together. They mapped 21 systems, cracked 85 accounts, and extracted 2,500 personnel records. And the wildest part? They disguised the whole thing as an authorized penetration test. We really need to pause and let that sink in. These agents were built using just 2 free, open-source frameworks. It really shows you just how accessible this dangerous level of autonomy is right now.
But hey, this isn't just happening in the shadows of cybersecurity. It's happening in broad daylight in global finance. Binance just launched Agent OS, which opens up live crypto trading to AI agents across its 300 million accounts. And perhaps the most staggering detail here, there is absolutely no cap on losses set by the platform. None. Containing the risk falls entirely on the user through scoped subaccounts. They are literally letting AI loose in the financial markets to trade whatever it wants, whenever it wants, using its own logic.
And we are seeing this real-world agency extend into physical spaces, for sure. While competitors like Waymo and Uber each have about 1,000 approved autonomous vehicle permits in Nevada, Tesla just secured approval for up to 5,000 robotaxis in the Vegas area. They are massively outpacing the competition here. They're effectively turning Las Vegas into this giant, mass-scale proving ground for AI that drives itself through physical city streets, dealing with human drivers and totally unpredictable real-world physics.
Which brings us to Section 3, the massive infrastructure engine, powering AI autonomy. So to power all this autonomy, from digital twins to robotaxis, requires a scale of computing that is just hard to wrap your head around. To really grasp this shift, you have to look at the numbers.
$6 billion. NVIDIA recently struck a highly unusual deal with a coding startup called Poolside. Instead of just buying them outright, NVIDIA is paying $6 billion for a non-exclusive licensing agreement, plus throwing in an extra billion-dollar investment and offering jobs to roughly 109 Poolside employees. Why jump through all those hoops? Well, this is a brand new playbook for big tech, designed to scoop up top-tier talent in tech while carefully dodging the gaze of antitrust regulators.
But if he thought $6 billion was big, how about $100 billion? Broadcom is reportedly seeking up to $100 billion in debt specifically for a massive AI infrastructure push tied to Anthropic. That's $60 to $70 billion in senior secured debt and $30 billion in junior financing. This proves something absolutely crucial. AI capital expenditure isn't just software venture capital anymore. It's becoming a hard asset class. The servers, the chips, the physical data centers, they are now demanding the kind of raw capital we usually only see in legacy industries like energy and telecommunications.
And the reason this money engine is running so hot is because the growth justifies it. Anthropic is looking at an IPO filing as soon as August because their annualized revenue hit a staggering $65 billion by July. Bloomberg actually noted this could rival SpaceX's massive market debut. Meanwhile, over in the open source world, Google DeepMind's Gemma AI models just crossed 1 billion downloads, with developers creating over 100,000 community variants for everything from genomics to space-based computing. 1 billion downloads. Think about that. The adoption rate here isn't just fast, it is completely vertical.
In fact, this financial engine is so powerful, it's literally shifting the physical geography of the tech industry. For the first time in 13 years, New York just surpassed the Bay Area as the top tech talent market in the US, hitting over 394,000 tech jobs. Why is this happening? Because while the Bay Area was dealing with legacy layoffs, New York saw a massive 45% year-over-year boom specifically in AI roles. And that is heavily driven by the finance sector eagerly absorbing all these new autonomous capabilities.
Section 4. Breaking points and friction. Hitting human limits. You know, unchecked growth always hits a wall eventually. So what happens when this massive infrastructure collides with rapid AI autonomy? Well, sometimes things just break. On August 17th, GitHub suffered a massive 7-hour outage, with error rates spiking up to 20%. A central data center failed under peak traffic, but the real kicker? That failure was compounded by what they called retry storms from AI coding agents. The autonomous AI literally overloaded the developer infrastructure because it just kept hammering the servers way faster than a human ever could. We built them to code, and they worked so fast they literally broke the building.
And it's not just the servers breaking. We are seeing real cultural friction too. According to recent Pew Research, 52% of Americans are now more concerned than excited about AI. That's a huge jump from just 37% back in 2021. On top of that, over 70% of Americans think AI is advancing too quickly, and public trust in industry leaders is actively dropping among younger adults. The tech is just moving way faster than the public's comfort level, and it's creating this deep unease about what these autonomous actors are going to do next.
So society is scrambling to adapt, and you can see the tension everywhere. Apple Music is rolling out tags to explicitly label songs that are materially generated by AI, so you actually know what's human and what's synthetic. In the courts, federal judges are trying to draw these incredibly complex legal lines, recently overturning state espionage convictions for an ex-Google AI engineer while leaving corporate theft charges in place. Elsewhere, you have corporate boards launching massive probes, like Supermicro clearing its senior management in a $2.5 billion NVIDIA chip smuggling case. These are totally different examples, right? But they are all symptoms of the exact same problem. We are desperately trying to apply old rules to a brand new technology.
Which leads us to our final section, Section 5, Trust, Rules and Governance, Regulating the Unknown.
As AI refuses to stay neatly in its software box, we are seeing an entirely new global playbook emerge for how nations govern it. Take Brazil, for example. They just unveiled a $444 million AI investment. But what's crucial here isn't just the dollar amount, it's the strategy. Brazil is partnering with companies from both the US and China, including a massive $250 million supercomputing deal with Huawei. It perfectly illustrates how a multipolar AI market is forming right in front of us. Developing nations aren't just buying gadgets, they are treating AI compute as a strategic sovereign asset. Much like oil or uranium in the past, countries are realizing that controlling compute is critical to national security, and they're diversifying their partnerships globally to lock it down.
And that brings us to the core conflict of this entire explainer,
Whether we're talking about autonomous cyber attacks on government networks, a fleet of robotaxis navigating Vegas, or Binance's AI agents trading crypto with zero loss caps, these all represent a totally new category of risk. Our current governance systems, our regulatory frameworks, and our risk management protocols simply were not built to handle digital actors operating completely on their own, without a human in the loop. We are truly in uncharted territory.
Which leaves us with this final massive question to ponder. Can governance actually catch up to autonomous AI? Because if today's sources make one thing abundantly clear, it's that AI has decisively broken out of the software layer. It is out in our markets, our infrastructure, and our physical space. It's an actor now. It's no longer just a tool. The only question left is whether the rules we invent can ever hope to outpace the intelligence we are building. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.